So we're right here in a historical community. We're right here in Berry Farm, which used to be Hillsdale, which used to be the Berry Plantation. It is in Anacostia, which is in Ward 8, Washington, D.C. It's right next to the Anacostia Metro Station. It's bordering the Anacostia River. There's a lot of new development and revitalization going on. And it's a place that you should definitely come see right now. And it's definitely a place that you might want to look towards to in the future. I'm executive producer of the People Past and Present Hillsdale documentary, which I might change back to Berry Farm Past and Present, as I was advised by one of my colleagues, who happens to be a well-known historian, C.R. Gibbs. He feels like that name has a lot more, national recognition and significance, which I agree, Well, after this emancipation, there was still no social economic structure for the freedmen. So you have a situation where there's shanty towns and people living in alleyways. It's no support for these men. So General Howard was commissioned by the, he was supposed to be employed by President Lincoln, but President Lincoln actually died before General Howard was appointed. General Howard took the reins of the Freedmen's Bureau. This was an attempt by the federal government to deal with the ills of freedmen, represent them in legal cases, and he also had a vision to provide land for them. So he purchased the Berry Plantation, which we now know is Berry Farm. It was a tobacco plantation. It was about 375 acres of land. Freedmen settled here. They often purchased 1-acre lots. By purchasing these lots, that money went to go fund a part of the founding of Howard University, in which General Howard was on the board of directors. The school is named after him. What was good and interesting about that is Howard University actually came to Berry Farm. And I did take some of the conversations there, but they actually came to Berry Farm and they engaged with the community based on the fact that this community is a remnant of a community who helped found Howard University and helped establish the institution. They didn't necessarily like General Howard helping them out too much. They did, accuse him of misappropriation, but he told the story of a young man who walked from Berry Farm 7 miles every day to Howard University to educate himself. And there were many examples of that. These men built a community while going home, after long days of working downtown, walking back and forth, no electricity, built these homes and A-frame homes and the candlelight with axes, shovels, picks, hoes, hammers, nails, very primitive tools. But after being to work all day, they came home from work to work on building their homes. And some of the people that you get out of the story, like Solomon G. Brown, who was the first African-American to actually represent D.C. in the first territorial government from 1871 to 1874. He was became a poet. He was a scientist. He was a paleontologist. He was the first black employee of the Smithsonian, and he helped lay the first telephone lines from D.C. to Baltimore, working with the guy Morse, who invented the Morse code. So you can see hard work, you can see integrity. Family was very important. There were solid family structures where people had, moral values and things that didn't cause people to want to hurt each other and harm each other and steal from each other all the time. I think that the families back then were more tightly knit. Their values were a little more sustainable. They had a lot more substance. Well, the gentrification process that's been taking place here in Ward 8 period is very similar to any Hope 6, program. Now you have new communities is a effort for the government to kind of engage the community a lot more than they have in the past. There's been an effort, and actually there has been residents from Berry Farm who have actually began to move to Sheridan Terrace, which is a new, modern, contemporary architectural housing site. And there are many residents who began moving over there already. I got in tune with the Humanities Council through Patsy Flesher. who was actually in the documentary. And she told me to check them out. I checked them out. I got to meet Joy eventually, who was just a beautiful spirit. And they were very supportive of my project. They understood the situation in Berry Farm. This goes back to cultural competency, you know, and they were supportive. So if you're not telling your story for yourself, whoever's telling your story for you may tell it in their best interest instead of yours. So learn your story and tell your story, and learn your story based on the research that you do. And make sure your story is understood in a way that actually makes you feel good about yourself.